Hey guys, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good to be with y'all. Thanks so much. No, please, please. No, please. Please have a seat. I don't want to chew into Dave Bratt's time. Thank you all very much. You guys are very kind. Please have a seat. What a warm thing, and I don't want to chew into my friend's time, so I just want to say thank you to Barry for the kind words, and thank you for this tradition of doing this every year and coming up and having a chance to present. I'll tell you, a weakness of being in public life is you give too many speeches and you don't listen to enough other people give speeches. I really thought hearing Jerry and Morgan back to back was really instructive. I think it was instructive for all of you to hear, here's my take on things as a member of Congress from Northern Virginia, here's my take on things as a member of Congress from Southwest Virginia, and you get from those two presentations the challenges that a statewide organization like the Chamber or a statewide official like Mark and I or Governor or others have in trying to figure out the way to truly be a commonwealth, that thing we proclaim ourselves to be. We're not just a state, we say we're a commonwealth. The wealth we hold in common. It's a community word. How do you become a community amidst such diversity? That's the challenge that we all have. I have always loved working with first my local chambers when I was a city councilman and mayor, and with the state chamber. You guys serve your members. That's critically important. You surface important policy issues. That's critically important. But chambers also have a way of thinking beyond the boundaries of political jurisdiction. So when I was a mayor, our Richmond chamber forced us to think regionally when the demands of our own electorate wasn't necessarily that was the case. And similarly, the Virginia chamber forces us to think big picture about the whole state when sometimes that is not the demand of a particular electorate. So thank you for doing that. Two people I have here, I have a lot of staff here, but I just want you to know my chief of staff, Mike Henry, who I think was here. Yeah, Mike is right over here, does such a good job. And my state director, John Knapp, who runs state offices and has his office right on the same floor around the corner from the chamber office in Richmond. I'm no dummy there. I love that office space. I've got other great staff here, but for outreach purposes, they're good folks for you to know. It was a fascinating summer vacation I had from July 22 at 7:32 p.m. Not that it was a memorable moment for me, but when I got called and asked to join the ticket until the election eve, it was completely unpredictable in so many ways for my wife and me. But I'll just say this: I was very honored to be on the ticket. I was so glad we did well in Virginia. Hillary made history as the first woman to be a major party nominee, and I'm glad for her sake, even though disappointed that she didn't win, I'm glad for her sake that she's going to be a significant winner in the popular vote. That doesn't mean anything in terms of who's president, but for somebody who is trying to make history, I think that is important. Again, I felt good about the Virginia result, as you would imagine, but the end result wasn't what I like. But, you know, there's a beautiful phrase of Henry David Thoreau's, "I love my fate to the very core and rind." It's not all fruit. There is core and rind to life, and if you're going to embrace your challenges and embrace your opportunities, you've got to acknowledge that, and I think we all understand that. I'll tell you this, and I mean this in a very sincere way, and it is a compliment to you and all of your generation in Virginia. I wouldn't have been on the ticket if I had not been from Virginia. I have my own modest charms, but if I had been from another state, I can probably think of about 40 other states that if I had been exactly who I am from those states, I wouldn't have been on the ticket. There was not a working Virginia political official on a national ticket since 1840. It was the first time in 170 years. And that wasn't because of me, that was because Virginia has worked its way back into direct, dead center relevance on the stage, in the spotlight, in American politics. After a long, long time of not being on the stage, of course we were the whole stage. From 1770 to about 1840, 5 of the first 10 presidents, 3 of the first 10 vice presidents, but beginning with about 1840 for a variety of reasons, largely Virginia not being true to the self-professed principles of the Virginians who were architects of our country. We worked our way off the stage and into the shadows. We are back. 3 of the last 5 or 6 State of the Union responses have been given by Virginians. Now there's been a Virginian on a national ticket. And if anybody wonders whether Virginia's relevance and centrality to national politics is going to fade anytime soon, I will tell you this. You should take what you can and go to Vegas and bet that Virginia is going to continue to be very central. We are central to the nation politically because we're a pretty good bellwether in a lot of ways for national political trends. Our Democrat, Republican, Independent, or urban, suburban, rural numbers are pretty close match for the national norm, but we're also central and in a leadership role on economic issues. And that's because of people in this room and people in this generation of Virginians. I'm excited to be back in the Senate. I have important work to do in the areas I've chosen as my areas of expertise. I spend about 70% of my time on armed forces and national security issues and foreign policy, and I'm going to continue to do that. There's no better gig in the Senate than being on the Armed Services Committee, and if you can be on the Armed Services Committee from Virginia, that's really special. And there's 2 of us in the Senate who are on the Armed Services Committee and have children in the military. There are others who served in the military on the committee. There's 2 of us in the Senate who have children in the military. My boy's in his 2nd deployment right now and in the Marines. And I'll tell you, the things that you grapple with and worry about and vote on, they do assume an additional importance, I'm sure, if you're a veteran and have served, or if you've got the thing in life that is most precious to you connected to that mission. It's very, very powerful. And of course, Virginia is more connected to the military mission than any other state, by personnel, by budget, by the number of installations, by the very map of who we are. Appomattox, the Pentagon, Yorktown. We are connected to the nation's military mission and proud of it. And so I'm excited to come back and continue my quest that we be smart in thinking about how to defend this country for tomorrow, not relitigating yesterday's challenges, but be smart for tomorrow. I have a particular passion around this issue that we shouldn't just cede power to the executive when it comes to matters of whether we're at war or not. I feel like we've gone just dreadfully astray in that, and I'm going to continue to work to try to encourage Congress to reinsert its own sense of priorities in that way. But I'm also looking forward to working with so many of you who are focused on the economic aspect of our defense budget. You know, Morgan talked about where are the defense jobs in Southwest Virginia. The largest employer in Smith County is a defense contractor. The largest employer, probably the largest employer in Montgomery and Radford outside of Virginia Tech is military at the Radford Arsenal. We have deep ties in our economy to defense in every corner of this Commonwealth, but there's more we can do to make sure those opportunities are more obvious just outside of Northern Virginia and Hampton Roads, and I'm going to work on that. I'm on the Budget Committee with Mark, and I believe deeply in budget sanity. Having been a mayor and governor, I'm a little concerned about some of the things I'm hearing. We need to do an awful lot, but we've got to do it in a way where we're paying for it and not jacking up the deficit in a significant way, and we'll work on that. And then finally, as many of you know, while not on the committee, I've done an awful lot of work in the area of career and technical education. My work as governor, especially with Huntington Ingalls and the apprenticeship school, and then my own reflection upon my dad's ironworker workforce that had come through ironworker apprenticeships, or my work running a vocational school in Honduras, all of those things kind of combined when I got here, and I realized one element of the American educational spectrum that is not being paid enough attention is the development of career and technical training at every level, from middle school to high school to standalone apprenticeship programs to community colleges and colleges. There is so much work that can still be done in that area around broadening the definition of what success means. And I'll just tell one story and then hand it over to Barry for our next speaker. I was asked to give the graduation speech this year in March for the apprenticeship class that was graduating at Huntington Ingalls, shipbuilder apprentices. Most of the graduates were finishing a 3-year program. There's some additional training you can do, so there were some who were finishing a 4-year program, but most were finishing a 3-year program and then to go to work immediately. In the shipyard, doing really important, well-remunerated, deeply patriotic work. They were going to go immediately to work, but I gave a speech to them and I said, I'm going to tell you 2 things about yourself as a class of graduates. The first is that the admissions rate into this apprenticeship program is lower than the admissions rate into Harvard. Harvard accepts 5.9% of applicants to their freshman class. The Newport News Apprenticeship Program, which celebrates its Centennial in 2019. Takes 5.2% of applicants. This is a more exclusive program than getting into Harvard, and 60% of you already had college, some college, when you came here. But here's the second fact. Those of you graduating with this 3-year program, going to do good work and be well paid for doing important things, the nation doesn't count you as having a higher education degree. In the statistics that we measure by whether you have a post-high school degree, you would get it with an associate's degree and 2 years at a community college. You get it with a 4-year degree from UVA or one of our other institutions. But we don't count you as having a higher ed degree if you come through that 3-year apprenticeship program at Newport News. One of just a number of ways where we've systematically, over time, in the last couple of generations, especially kind of devalued career and technical education as an appropriate path to learn and grow and do good things and contribute after high school. So I'm really on a mission. Everywhere in federal policy that I can find a second-class attitude about career and technical education, whether it's in GI Bill benefits, whether it's in the military tuition assistance benefit that you get when you're in active duty, whether it's in how we count statistically whether you have a higher ed degree or not, we're systematically trying to eliminate root and branch every vestige of second-class treatment of career and technical education, and then promote through every way we can, promote better policies. And so working on the defense side, working on the budget side, and working in career and tech have given me a lot of energy going forward, and so many of those are things that you guys are at the front end too, and I know you're working on a blueprint for the next governor that would include many of these items, and I look forward to continuing to be a partner with you. Thanks so much for having me.